right, let's go ahead and get started since we're already a little bit late for everyone. Thank you everyone for joining us. My name is Tawny with Create Your Cruise. If it's your first time here or if you have been here before, we welcome you back. We are a full service travel agency, and while our name is Create Your Cruise, we do a lot more than cruising. So we're really happy to be here today with some very good friends, Yannetti and Alisa from Kensington Tours. So if you are not super familiar with Kensington Tours, let me introduce or reintroduce you to Kensington Tours. So they offer a variety of products from small group tours, custom private tours, yacht tours, villa tours, just shore excursion tours, pretty much any kind of travel you can need that is land-based or even a little bit of ocean-based as long as it's private. So a wide variety of products for all different backgrounds and people who like different kinds of travel. But today we are really excited because we are going to be focusing entirely on the destination of Switzerland, which, if you are not as familiar, which hopefully you're not because you're here to learn about it, is just idyllic. It is absolutely stunningly gorgeous. And we're very, very lucky to have here with us Elisa because she is the destination expert with Kensington for much of Europe, and she is going to make all of us wish we were in Switzerland tomorrow. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah. Hi, good afternoon. My name is Yannetti Perez. I am the sales director for Kensington Tour, and I have the pleasure to be here with Alyssa, our destination expert in Switzerland, as well as Tani and her team. So, Tani, thank you so much for this opportunity. We are going to talk about the Kensington difference. The itinerary is designed by experts that have deep regional knowledge in each destination. They're very well vetted. They have the opportunity to travel to the destination, to learn about the destination, to live the destination. And here we have in the first pictures, we have our Alyssa. And really, every journey begins with a conversation with her. Kensington and Cruise Planners, we do the private planning. We approach the personalized service and really, really deliver highly tailored experiences. And this session today will be all about Switzerland. We lock secrets unlocked. Quite honestly, the destinations is our preferred mantra. We talk about the destination, we talk about the experiences, how the planners dedicate point of contact, managing every single detail from the beginning of the conversations to what we like to do in each destination to the end. And we truly have your trip is our responsibility, whether it's from air, insurance to go on the ground support, increasing really the overall experience, as well as having a 24/7 destination in destination help should you have any questions. We are really here all the step of the way to make sure your experience is like no other. And here I have Kensington Difference and Cruise Planners. And I have here Lissat, who will be taking it away and talking about the destination Switzerland and these two beautiful destination and itineraries.
Just so you know, your screen is no longer shared, so you need to share your screen again.
Yeah.
Oh, really? I am so sorry. I
Don't
my
worry. See, guys, we're having some tech problems. This is okay. We'll get this working and no
oh
worries.
my goodness, I am so sorry.
It's all good. If not, Elisa's going to give us a lovely long monologue about how amazing Switzerland
Oh, yeah, totally. Hello, everyone. Yes. Switzerland is actually one of three destinations, so Italy, Switzerland, and Malta, which
Are
I'm the
you seeing me
destination
now?
lead
I'm
Yes,
for.
sorry.
Yep,
good
Are
to go
you
yep,
now.
we got it.
first
Yep,
presentation?
yes,
Okay,
perfect.
perfect.
Yep. Um, Probably we can go to the next slide or stay here. What do you think? Okay. Yeah. So destination lead, essentially, that's just like one step up from expert, and all that means is that I'm like an expert of experts, essentially, and I help train other people at Kensington on how to sell Kensington or sell Switzerland the Kensington way. So it's, I guess, kind of like kismet that are like perfect that I'm here because I can also help answer questions that you may have in terms of selling Switzerland in general, but also hopefully the Kensington way as well. And like some of the logistics, as I know, there's so many moving parts and really cool things that Switzerland offers that other destinations don't offer. So, yeah, the best way I can describe it is enchanting the country. So, I've been with Kensington 5 years, and I've been to Switzerland twice. In that 5 years, the Kensington way in terms of being on a fam and experiencing different levels, whether it's between like our Discovery Premier and Lux. Obviously, the Lux way is kind of nice when you're staying at hotels like the Mandarin Oriental in Lucerne when it's brand new, and it's, the company's paying for it. We all love that, but yes. I've experienced it many different ways: trains, private cars, our bellboy service, which I'd love to talk about. And yeah, I'm excited to continue talking about it. So, probably next slide, I think we can go to. I thought it would be interesting to highlight a few trips. One that I have on the road right now that are like 2 repeat clients with Kensington that are actually, I think they just arrived in Zermatt today. And the trip that they're on, so they arrive in Zurich, which is very common for clients to do, and then transfer to Lucerne right away, which is also quite common for clients because although Zurich is one of the most well-known cities in Switzerland and the biggest, it has some highlights, but it's really used as like a gateway city. So even when I was in Zurich and I had the pleasure of staying at the Bauerlach, which is a leading hotels of the world property, they make their own honey on site. The breakfast was like the best breakfast I've ever had at any hotel in Switzerland, to be honest. Um, it's they even mentioned, people don't stay any more than like 3 nights in Zurich, which I even still think is kind of a lot personally, like as a travel professional, I guess, but that it's very much like at the beginning of their stay or end of their stay, which makes sense since it is the biggest airport. So usually clients will fly into Zurich, or they'll fly into Geneva, or they'll fly into Milan, and those are kind of like the three main airports. And although Milan is technically, in Italy, and by technically, I mean it is, it's close to St. Moritz, and it's close to experiences like the Bernina Express or the Goddard Express. So it's one of the good gateways. And yeah, so this is kind of a map of what my clients in destination are doing right now. They're 2 women traveling together, so they're in twin occupancy as their friends. They are flying into Zurich, or flew into Zurich, and they're flying out of Geneva, and they're taking a few like little train journeys here and there. And by train journeys, I mean like experiential panoramic trains. So they have the Glacier Express, which is the most famous train, I think, train journey ever, really, and maybe even globally. And then there's the Golden Pass Express that they're also taking. So I can kind of walk you through that and things that they're doing on the day to day, and even explain like some logistics and product and things that are highlighted in the tour on the way as well. So we can probably move to the next slide. Yeah, so really essentially, this actually, there's a few different things going on here. There's Interlaken, which a horse and carriage ride is something we often offer. This is on top of Mount Gornergrat, to the left as well, which is in Zermatt. It's a cogwheel train experience. And yeah, I mean, Switzerland, we can customize it so many different ways, including neighboring countries like Germany, Austria, Italy, France. I've customized it with even like Netherlands and places like that. But it's one of those countries that, although it's technically not part of the EU, you can enter it from many different ways and pairs really nicely with the French side, where they speak French, for example, like in Montreux and Geneva, or the Italian side, like from Lugano in the Ticino province, entering from Italy, easy to do, where they speak Italian. And then there's the whole German side as well, which is kind of north and east, really. So yeah, we can go next slide. This is day one of like the current trip that I have in destination. So you could see Superior with breakfast, for example. Unity, I would just like hide that little bar there because I think it's sort of in the way of the hotel. There we go. Yes. So the Wildenmann, or Wildenmann in German, I've stayed at personally and did an inspection of. It's very like authentic Swiss in a really good location. It's not by any means like contemporary in terms of style, but that's kind of the Swiss charm, is that sort of chalet aesthetic. In this case, they arrived in Zurich. Their driver takes them. So you could either do actually a private driver, which they have, from Zurich to Lucerne. So Zurich Airport to Lucerne, about 45 minutes. The private drivers in Switzerland are quite expensive. So a lot of the times we won't include like train transfers and things like that, because that 5-minute drive, whether it's 5 minutes, 10 minutes, or 2 minutes, is usually around 200 Swiss francs or more, which they are paid very well in Switzerland is the best way to put it. Plus the Swiss franc translated and exchanged into US dollars can drive the cost up a bit, but mostly taxis are readily available and the hotels are very close to the train stations, but not in a bad way. So a lot of the times we'll actually include a different service, which I'm going to talk about when it comes up in the itinerary. But yeah, so another thing to consider is that like from Zurich, clients can actually, and more of a cost saving, and if they're a bit more independent, they could take the train directly from the airport to Lucerne or directly from the airport in Zurich to anywhere. And so if they have their meet and greet assistant who goes over the welcome pack with them, which we always have, then they'll have their train tickets. They'll have everything essentially they need to be escorted to the train station at the Zurich airport and be on their way. And what's nice about taking that trains like that, they are very flexible. So in comparison to, for example, trains like in Italy, where you have standard class, premium class, business, executive, things like that, or France or Germany, you have to get a pre-assigned seat, whereas Switzerland, you don't. So these point-to-point tickets, you don't need a pre-assigned seat and you don't need to have to take it at a specific time. So even if the clients, let's say, arrive like a little bit late, that train ticket is still valid. It's not like the driver's waiting an hour and now there's an hour waiting time and, you know, we have to rearrange the transfer. It actually makes it that much easier. It's just that taking the train is usually from the airport, usually for someone slightly more independent. And as long as you talk to your clients about it, should be fine. Day 2, they spent in Lucerne. They did Mount Rigi, which is it's called the Queen of Mountains. It's another mountain journey, which is one of many that you could take from Lucerne. There's Mount Pilatus as well, which has the cogwheel train, and it's the steepest cogwheel train in the world. And then it has a whole circuit, essentially. So with this Mount Rigi, you would take the boat directly from the Lucerne Pier, which is walkable from any Lucerne hotel. And then they would take a boat to Witznau and then the train up. And yeah, it's a really easy self-guided journey. So we could do it with a guide in Switzerland, but you can also do it more on the cost-effective way without a guide. And what that means is you just get, like your clients will get the tickets and a program to follow. And it's very much like Swiss clockwork in the sense that that program is line by line. You know, at this time, 9:05 a.m. depart your hotel, 9:15 a.m. arrive at the pier, 9:25 a.m. take the boat, like something along those lines. So they get all the support they need. And essentially, something like this with Mount Rigi, you really don't need a guide for. A lot of the times, it's just them doing it on their own, or them, like if a guide is involved, kind of accompanying them. And the guides can add a decent amount of cost. So it is a good idea to be like selective with certain mountain journeys like this, and when they need a guide and when they don't, and where the guide adds value. Because sometimes, and again, in my personal experience traveling with Kensington to Switzerland, the guide doesn't always add value. It's just more of like having a friend come along that knows what they're doing in a way, but paying a significant amount for it. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So we could probably go to day 3. Yeah. This is a way to include, because the Glacier Express technically runs from Zermatt to St. Moritz, and it's an 8.5 hour journey. But there's also a half route you could do. So you can do it from Andermatt to St. Moritz and vice versa, or you could do it Andermatt to Zermatt and vice versa. And it's only about 3.5 hours. So it gets them that little taste of the Glacier Express without having to go all the way to the east side of the country. So in this case, the clients took a private driver, which you can also take a separate point-to-point train too, but a private driver from Lucerne to Andermatt, which is about an hour and a half. Then they're dropped off. They have the train, Glacier Express. So anytime there's any sort of panoramic train experience, so like the Glacier Express, like the Golden Pass Express, the Bernina Express, those require seat reservations and reservations in advance. So those are the only trains really, these scenic panoramic trains, that actually require like specific seating to be booked in addition to the train fare, because they sell up and they sell out and book up quickly. So yeah, this is a good way to, one, keep the costs down, but then two, have a little bit of that Glacier Express journey, and still go to Zermatt without having to go all the way to the east side of the country. So yeah, and then the next day, there's kind of two things that I will almost always include on an itinerary in Zermatt. And one of them is the Matterhorn Glacier Paradise, which essentially clients can hike this. They could take the gondola up and down. They could take it even to different like plateaus and levels, like all the way to the summit. Or if they decide this is too high, let me go, let me stop here and go back down. They can take the gondola up and hike down, or hike up and take the gondola down, vice versa. So it's nice that way. And again, I booked this both private guided for hiking or on its own. Usually I would say on its own is, I don't know, more flexible for the clients, if you will, because a lot of the time they have the flexibility and decision to decide how long they want to spend at the summit within operating hours, of course. Another thing that's not included on this itinerary, but is another option. You can even include both, to be honest. So there's Mount Gornegrat, which is a cogwheel train that clients can take up, and then you get a really nice view of the Matterhorn mountain from like even more elevated or higher elevation. So that being said, Mount Gornegrat, I would 100% say you do not need a guide for whatsoever. It's they would be, quite frankly, like a waste of money for that specific tour. Although we do offer it, it would just be someone sitting with you on the cogwheel train, going up with you, explaining a few things, hanging out, and then going back down. And it's just so easy to do on your own. So there are ways to do Switzerland expensively. There's a way to do Switzerland where you're keeping costs down, but also keeping like a lot of value and experiences in the itinerary for people to enjoy. So
Also hearing if you're more like me, which is like I like an independent travel situation. I don't
mhm.
necessarily want a guide with me all the time. Sometimes I just want to get lost in the scenery and
Yes.
everything. Like this is so great. You can go at your own pace and save money and like kind of work effectively within different ranges of budget. So this is another reason why I wanted to introduce all of you to Kensington in this format, because I think a lot of people think, oh, Kensington is always so expensive, but it's not true. The beauty behind Kensington is that, so just so everyone understands how this works, Elisa is a destination expert. So she'll work with me and you as the customers to kind of bring the whole trip together. So she'll bring all of her expertise and I'll bring all of my expertise. So you essentially have two concierges working on your behalf to put together an amazing trip that's exactly customized for you, or you can join a guided trip or you can customize it a little up or down so you can fit into your budget no matter what your style of travel is.
Yes, 100%. Yeah, yeah. We can even probably go to the next slide even. So from Zermatt to Grindelwald, there's a few connections. However, so we'll either have clients stay in Grindelwald or we'll have them stay in Interlaken. To be honest, Interlaken is a little bit more touristy. I find Grindelwald actually a lot more like you're more immersed in nature. And in Interlaken, you're in a valley a little bit more. In Grindelwald, the mountains are like almost on top of you, but in a really awe-inspiring way, not in a fearful way by any means. They're just, and if anyone is a Star Wars fan, they actually used Grindelwald for filming Obi-Wan, the Obi-Wan series, and Alderaan. So a little fun fact for anyone who's a Star Wars fan. And I recognized it immediately when I was watching it. I'm like, that is Grindelwald. I have absolutely been there. So, but in this case, the clients are going to Grindelwald. So There's a few connections that you have to take. The luggage does come on the train and off the train with you. There is a service that clients can avoid doing that without paying the expense of a private transfer too. But I'll talk about that a few slides down. But yeah, so it's a beautiful place. Grindelwald also has the Jungfrau top of Europe. If you're ever looking at like how to spell it, and you're like Jungfrau, for example, looks kind of confusing. Um, there is, I think, a little bit of overlap. So the bottom part where it says the double Matterhorn view, that's still, I think, part of the Zermatt portion. So we'll just focus on the top text there. That's, yes, there we go. So yeah, the train journey, I mean, I think there's a connection in Spitz, Visp, and then Interlaken. And then you arrive in Grindelwald on like a 30-minute train ride from Interlaken to Grindelwald. So even if you were going to Interlaken, you would still need at least 2 connections. But yeah, so it's a good point for Mount Schildhorn, a good point for which is kind of like there's like a James Bond museum there. There's a good point for Jungfrau, Trümmelbach Falls, Lauterbrunnen Valley. It's basically the Bernese Oberland, which is one of the most beautiful areas in Switzerland, although I mean, the whole country is amazing, but there are some areas where you're just like, wow, even more so than your previous wow. And Grindelwald is definitely one of them. So, and yeah, it's a really good base for things like that. So, for example, these clients are going to Mount Schildhorn. You can do it private guidedly with the James Bond Museum, or you can do it, in this case, they're doing it independently. So they're going um, there's like a little bit of a bus journey, a little bit of a train journey that's involved. Plus, they have the tickets, but they have a like laid out line by line exact itinerary to follow so that you are guided without being guided, if that makes sense. And then there's the thrill walk and things like that. So, yeah, could probably go to the next slide. So, on this journey, they go from, so especially that one paragraph there is important, where it says, enjoy traveling by train without having to navigate the system and the burden of heavy luggage. So what that is, and it's kind of a funny name, but it's called the Swiss Traveling Bellboy. And these clients within their welcome pack, which everyone gets a welcome pack per country and when they're in destination with Kensington. So even if they were traveling on to another country, they would get the welcome pack for that country. So they have one for each country to explain. In their welcome pack, they will get like little plastic luggage tags that have a printed, I guess, instructions or ticket on it. So it has the client's name, it has which direction the luggage is going in, from which hotel to which hotel. There's instructions to put that tag on your luggage. Each client gets 2, and it actually comes insured as well. And if you need more, we can ask for more too, of course. But the Swiss traveling bellboy person picks up the luggage from reception, follows the instructions on the tag, and then delivers the luggage by 5 p.m. the same day, as long as it's picked up no later than 10 a.m. from reception. Um, yeah, so delivered same day by 5 p.m. So these clients essentially will be traveling from Grindelwald to Interlaken. I organized, I think, a horse and carriage ride for them and like a lunch reservation in Interlaken at the Victoria Jungfrau, which is also a 5-star leading hotels of the world property in Switzerland, one of many. So they'll have a lunch, they'll do a horse and carriage ride without their luggage, and their luggage will meet them in Montreux at their next destination. So they can then hop back on the train for the Golden Pass Express. So the Golden Pass Express actually takes them from Interlaken to Montreux, and it's another kind of panoramic, scenic, experiential train. Not quite as exciting as the Glacier Express or Bernina Express, but it is one of the many like scenic train journeys that clients do. And yeah, and then they'll arrive in Montreux, and the Grand Hotel Swiss Majestic is a 4-star right across from the train station. It's quite literally, you get out of the train station and the hotel's right there. You just have to go down a little bit of stairs. But yeah, it's great that way. And so they have partial lake views, full lake views. They have, I think, accommodations for single occupancy, double occupancy, and triple. And it's a really good location for anyone doing like the Montreux Jazz Festival, or in the winter, Montreux has one of the best Christmas markets, if not the best Christmas market I've ever been to. It's amazing, and it's like right outside the hotel, so it works perfectly. And it's quite long and large along the Montreux boardwalk. So yeah, and then from here the clients would end in Geneva at the airport there. But Montreux is also known for, in the bottom photo there, Chillon Castle, which is kind of like Bernese medieval history. And you can do this either with the guide or just with entrance tickets. Or what I like to do is have a private walking tour that walks along the boardwalk to Chillon Castle, and then just get entrance tickets for the clients. And then they can hang out in Chillon Castle on their own, and then they can make their own way back. And a lot of these cities in Switzerland also give city cards, which, for example, in Montreux, they give a city card, which gives you free like bus usage, which normally you might think, okay, Kensington Tours and buses, does that even go together? In Switzerland, 100%. It's perfectly fine and very easy to use, very clean and very
Switzerland has
efficient.
perfected public
Yes,
transportation.
they
Like
really
they
have.
have perfected
Yeah,
it.
absolutely. Like the bus is just the easiest, most respectful thing. I'm like, oh, this is actually really nice. Like everyone's just doing their thing. I took it a few times. And
People are very happy in Switzerland and helpful.
yeah.
And I felt like when I was there, it was just really easy to navigate on your own. You didn't,
Mhm.
even if you're an anxious traveler, for instance,
Yes.
the people are helpful, the taxis are readily available, the public transportation system is very self-explanatory, a lot of English speaking, so it's really like one of those destinations that is, to much people's wild imaginations, easy to just have a like an outline of what you're going to do.
Mhm. Yes, 1,000% for sure. So yeah, we could probably move on. Yes, so Swiss Grand Train Journey. This is another itinerary I put together for clients that are departing very soon, actually. So you could, if you're, let's say, traveling for like 2 weeks, you could honestly hit up most of the scenic train journeys. So, for example, like there's the Bernina Express, and this one actually hits up almost all of them, if not, if I remember correctly. So Zurich, Lucerne, Lugano, St. Moritz, Zermatt, Grindelwald, Bern. I think the only one that this one doesn't touch is the Golden Pass Express, which was on the previous itinerary in Montreux, but that one is probably the least experiential of the experiential scenic train rides. So this one kind of covers the rest of them. Um, Day one, so Zurich to Lucerne, you can again either arrive by train or do a transfer. In this case, they are actually doing the train. So the meet and greet assistant will arrive, and then we'll meet them on arrival, give them train tickets, go through the welcome pack, and then lead them to the train station where they could take the train to Lucerne. And it's about an hour or so. This one is again inclusive of Mount Rigi. Actually, I wish I had an option with Mount Pilatus on there. I might, in fact, but they're also doing a self-guided Mount Rigi day, similar to the previous itinerary. So I won't spend time on that, but we can go to the next slide. And so with this journey, they're going from Lucerne to Lugano. Sometimes our titles get a little like jumbled for some reason. I'm not sure why it says Lucerne to Lugano to Lucerne to Lugano, but it's Lucerne to Lugano. And so they are essentially doing the Goddard Express usually. In this case, I think that we had originally quoted the Goddard Express, but it would involve like a 5.5 hour journey instead of 2 hours. So you could take a direct train essentially from Lucerne to Lugano, no problem, point to point ticket, or you could do the Goddard Express, which includes like a boat ride plus a train journey, which requires a reservation as well. So now they're going from essentially Lucerne near Zurich all the way down south to the Italian border. In Lugano, there's quite a few things you can do. There's the castles of Bellinzona, which is also Bernese medieval history. The Bern Canton, I think, attacked a lot of different places in Switzerland, is kind of what I learned when I was there. But yeah, so there, in this case, clients are doing like a walking tour. You could do like a walking tour with tastings as well. And the food in the Ticino province in Lugano is spectacular because it's, I mean, it's got a lot of Italian influence, and that's coming from a biased Italian heritage person over here. But yes, there's a lot of really cool things, and the Verzasca Valley, sorry, is amazing. And yeah, we can go to the next slide. When they're going from Lugano to St. Moritz, there's the Bernina Express. That's probably the second most famous journey in terms of famous train journeys in Switzerland. So there's the Glacier Express and the Bernina Express. The Bernina Express, you can do a private transfer to Tirano, and then from Tirano, you take the train to St. Moritz. You could also take it to Chur, although normally we would just have clients or yourselves or whoever's traveling to St. Moritz. And St. Moritz really is more like a ski town, to be honest. It's famous for like celebrity skiing mostly. So in the summer, it's more of like kind of a mountain town where you might spend a night or two max. I wouldn't say any more than that, to be honest. But yeah, we can go to, a lot of the hotels are very close to the train station as well in St. Moritz. And then we can do either something along the lines of like mountain biking. I've organized for clients before. I've organized even like a Roseg Valley kind of horse and carriage ride, or you can just have some time at leisure in St. Moritz to explore and just, you know, have a day, because sometimes go on an itinerary, depending on, you know, how active you are, it can be really tiring having to be up at 9 a.m. or 8 a.m. or 7 a.m. to get somewhere every day. So yeah, you can go next. This is the full scenic journey. So the full Glacier Express, which is about 8.5 hours. You can do it second class, you can do it first class, and you can do it excellence class. Excellence class is extremely limited on availability. You have to book it well in advance. First class and second class, usually you book about like 3 months in advance and it's available. But excellence class, you can book, I think, up to 6 months in advance. So it does sell out pretty quickly for that reason. And in addition, it might not even be more than 6 months, to be honest. I'd have to check that. But in addition, it's non-refundable once it's booked. So it is something to consider because it's a little bit outside of our terms and conditions. If you're just paying deposit, keep in mind then the excellence class has to be booked as well and is non-refundable. So
Alyssa,
yeah.
can I ask you something? What is the difference between those classes, and do they have any experiences that are
Yeah,
different?
yeah, so it's the seating, it's the level of seating, it's the different cabins. Excellence class also includes like a whole like 7-course meal experience. So first class also includes a lunch on board, but second class or excellence class, it's like an even more like almost ultra luxe sort of level of experience in terms of like the service that you get. And even like I said, the chairs and the width and things like that, the comfortability, but the could even be like the placement on the train. And you know, sometimes like middle of the car, you may not get as good of a view, or so front of the car might be a little, or front of the train rather might be better. And it's just even like the exclusivity of the seating. So there's very limited seats in excellence class, which gives it sort of a level of prestige, I guess. Yeah.
And it goes through, it says that it goes through 91 tunnels. That's
Mm-hmm.
pretty amazing. And it goes all the way to 6,670 feet above the sea level. That is quite high. It's absolutely
Yes, it's quite
gorgeous.
high. Yeah. It's
Yeah,
yeah, for sure.
this is
It's a
definitely my
very,
bucket list.
yeah, totally. It's an iconic journey, really. It's the most iconic in Switzerland, in fact. So it's nice also that you can break it up instead of doing 8.5 hours and the whole journey. You could do kind of like a half journey, which is both cost saving and also time saving, depending on if you felt like going, all the way east to somewhere it's or not. But yeah, we can. So in Zermatt, this is also on this itinerary. They included the Matterhorn Glacier Paradise. Again, you could do something like Gornegrat as well. There's also Mount Rothorn as well that you could do hiking of. So Zermatt is very isolated. That's something to consider. The only direct trains that really go in and out are to Visp or Glacier Express, which also kind of passes through Visp. So, but Zermatt is one of the most iconic towns in Switzerland as well, being home of the Matterhorn. So, yeah. Um, they are also going to Zermatt to Grindelwald also again. So they're staying at a slightly different hotel than the previous clients. And the journey is the same. So you still have to do about 3 connections to get between Zermatt to Grindelwald. And in this case, you may want to actually then have the bellboy service. The only thing is the cost of the bellboy service is dependent on the journey. So from Zermatt to Zurich, for example, the cost is a lot higher because the distance is further. But sometimes it's worth having it in specific legs of the trip or all legs of the trip. Or if you're a bit more budget conscious, then you can just bring your luggage on board with you. And that's totally fine as well.
Yeah, I highly recommend to have the luggage transferred because you
Yes.
really do have that in your mind. You're going to get to the next hotel. You would have your transfers, you have everything, and you have your luggage there on
It's
time.
the best. Yeah.
It is quite honestly the
I've
best.
had it a few times and it's really truly amazing, especially if you have any sort of mobility issues, or let's say your hotel is a bit further from the train station, or you don't feel comfortable taking a taxi, which again, it's Switzerland. So like everything's very safe there and everyone speaks English, but for the most part, but yeah, we can, yeah. In Grindelwald, so actually something I do want to talk about because this is a Jungfrau journey. On the top, the left photo there with the Swiss flag was one of the first times I went to Switzerland with Kensington, and it was in December. So something to consider about the Jungfrau journey is that you can have a total whiteout blizzard in the winter. So you're not really up there for the views because there quite literally is no view when it's a whiteout blizzard because you are so high up. It's called Top of Europe for the reason it's the highest railway station in all of Europe. So yeah, that's something to consider, is that if you really want like nice views on these mountains and the mountain summits, is maybe just not going in the winter because one, it'll be very cold. I look like I'm having a good time on the right, but I was struggling a lot in that I was like out there for the photo only, really, truly. And I'm like, oh my God, this is miserable. Let me get back in.
Instagram versus reality.
Quite literally, yes. I was like, let me just do this, suck it up, and go back in. But it was not as pretty as it would have been in like August, for example, when these clients will be going.
Yeah,
So
that bottom right picture looks much lovelier.
Yes, it
yeah,
sure
yeah,
does. And
yeah.
I see the Mont Blanc range. I see that the world famous Piz Gloria revolving restaurant.
Mm-hmm.
It is situated
Mm-hmm.
above about, I mean 10,000 feet above the sea level. That's quite interesting. I mean, there's so many beautiful places in Switzerland. I know Alyssa is going to take me on her next trip, and so is Tawny. So I'm really looking forward to it. And
Totally.
yeah, let's go into the next one, which I love.
That we have a
Yeah.
cheese?
Yeah.
Yes.
These clients are going to Bern. I'll have to say, like Bern, even though it's actually the capital of Switzerland, which a lot of people don't realize because you think of Zurich being the biggest and like financial hub, but Bern is actually the capital, which makes sense because again, the Bernese canton liked to dominate the rest of the cantons, which are kind of like provinces or states. But yeah, so Bern is known for like the clock tower and the Emmental Valley, and again being the capital, and lots of like cheese tours, for example, as you see here. And it's not as frequently requested, I'd be honest. It's not something that I usually would include on the itinerary unless someone did ask for it, which in this case they did. Otherwise, I would say with limited time, like if you had a 10-day or 12-day itinerary and only that amount of time to work with, then Bern probably could be skipped. But at the same time, there are things to see and do there too if you have curiosity and interest. Yeah. And we can go next, I think. So in this case, the clients did the Emmental Valley, and then they're also doing a walking tour. And I mean, it's interesting for sure, but I also think realistically, like if you're short on time, Bern isn't something that I would 100% include over any other city. And that's my opinion. That's my personal opinion, to be honest, more than professional, but a little bit both. Yeah. It's kind of similarly to like even Basel, for example. Basel is very much a river cruise port city. If you were going to, they're not going to Basel on this particular tour, but like, so with Basel, it's really great at Christmas time for the Christmas markets. They have two really, really good Christmas markets. However, like if you're there in the summer, it really is kind of like if you've been to Croatia, it reminded me of a Swiss Zagreb in a way. It's very much like a city and it's people working there and it borders,
The
other
jumping off point.
countries. Yeah, exactly. So if you have, or if you're doing a river cruise, I would do like a whole Swiss itinerary and then maybe end up in Basel the night before just to take your
Yes.
cruise. Or the morning of, you can transfer easily from Zurich or Lucerne. And then vice versa, if you're coming off a river cruise in Basel, you could probably just, unless it's winter and you want to check out the Christmas markets because it's very pretty during the winter, then you can probably
Hmm.
skip Basel, if I'm being honest, having been.
I agree.
Yeah.
It's like it's kind of the same thing with Zurich, although Zurich's a much bigger city, and if it,
Mhm.
but like you said, 3 days is borderline too many. Like you just don't
Yeah.
really need as much to get all the experience you want out of there. They're just great jumping off points. They have great airlift. It's great to
Mhm.
jump on the river cruise from there, so it's very easy to get around from those major hubs, but they're definitely not the like highlight of the destination. So if you
Yeah.
are, for instance, because I know a lot of our clients on here probably book a lot of river cruises, a river cruise like Paris to the Swiss Alps or a Rhine cruise to Amsterdam to Basel, they're not going to give you any Switzerland. You're not really experiencing any of Switzerland itself. So you're going to want to add Switzerland as the destination for this whole portion and use those as jumping off points to the real beautiful places.
Yeah. I fully agree. Yep. Oh,
Thank you
and
guys so much. Go
Thank
ahead.
you.
no problem. Yeah. Ultimately, it's just a matter of like customizing what you're looking for, and most of the time, we could do most things. Yeah.
Something that I do love about this job is, I love planning a cruise, but I also love when someone can come and tell me, I want to experience a destination, experience, things the way that I want to. And someone really knows, like, I'm a nature person, so the scenery is most important or whatever it might be. But there's fully customizable ways to make travel all about the experience and not just about, like, oh, I've been to this destination. Like, it should fit what you love to do when you go experience places. Do we have any
Totally.
questions? You can raise your hand if you want to talk and be interactive, or you can type them in the Q&A box. We'll just be on the lookout for a few seconds here.
I believe we have five.
No, those are the panelists. So there's 32 people here, but I don't see any hands raised. So if we don't have any questions, no worries. I hope all of you enjoyed our presentation. And to work on your next trip, you can just reply to the email here and let us know. Kensington is a global company. They handle almost every destination around the world. Elisa is going to be handling those few destinations that she's the expert of experts in. So that is one thing again that I just love about Kensington is being on our side. I have thousands of travel experiences myself, but I haven't seen the whole world, and nobody has. So having these great opportunities to work with people who have in-depth explored it personally, explored it in every possible way, done every kind of research, talked to every hotel supplier, everything there that you can customize and design. So these are really great opportunities to take travel to the next level and work on really fantastic itineraries.
Indeed, yes. And one of the itineraries that we love doing the most is Africa. It's really one of those that Africa Safari. We go over 24 countries in Africa. We can customize any itinerary, whether it's South Africa, whether it's Rwanda, with gorilla tracking, any itinerary that your mind thinks of, we definitely can take you to that destination in a very fun way. As a matter of fact, yes, we do have phenomenal destination guides. There are some countries that will definitely, you can not necessarily take the the guided transfers or the guided tours, but there are some destinations that you'll definitely need it, just not only for intellectual purposes to learn, but it's also for safety reasons as well. And
Not
we're
every country is as happy and amazing as Switzerland.
and
Yeah.
exactly. Yes, exactly. So we're really looking forward to listening to the next trip idea that
Absolutely.
we're having, Tawny. So thank you again. Thank you,
We're
Alyssa, for
gonna
being
pull.
part of
We do have
this.
one question that just came in, so I want to
Sure.
let's do these two questions because they're really good ones. Virginia wants to know about how you handle accessibility. So I can answer it or you can answer it, however you prefer.
Oh yeah, I mean, so with accessibility in Switzerland, it's I mean, there's some things obviously that are a little bit limited depending on how accessible. So like if you need wheelchair accessible versus like walk with a cane or like a motorized scooter, obviously some things depend, like private transfers probably would be better in that case, but considering that private transfers are significantly higher cost value than trains, but otherwise there are accessible rooms and things like that in Switzerland, and something like the Swiss traveling bellboy would really help with not having to transport your luggage and just walking, if you were taking the train, getting right on the train and not having to worry about like lugging your luggage. But some things like chairlifts, for example, might be a little bit more complicated, but otherwise there are workarounds depending on what your limitations are and the type of trip you're looking to have.
Another
Yeah.
great thing about working with destination experts is that they're going to be able to tell you this is what you need to look out for. So you're never going to get there and be like, oh, this is a surprise to me. I didn't know this was going to be like this, or I booked the wrong thing because I wasn't aware. So that's another beautiful thing about doing destination expert guided travel is that they're going to basically learn about you and what your needs are and then customize and make sure that you're going in the right directions. Okay, we've
And
got two
then
more over here. Do you want to add to that?
I was just gonna say we have our Swiss team in destination too. That like even if there's something that I don't know or I need advice on, they can give that much more like advanced advice in terms of what would work and what wouldn't, or how they could adapt. So there's so many levels of support.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We have a question about Africa. So, Yaneti, thank you for that one. I guess maybe we'll have to do this one next.
Yes, Africa
They
is
want to know if
definitely.
you handle the animal migration, the Great Migration.
Yes, we do. Yes, absolutely. We do all the five games. We have absolutely gorgeous lodges, and the games are just, I mean, we really cater to Africa. As a matter of fact, the owner of our company, his parents were missionaries in Africa. They're Canadian. And that's the way that he really learned about Africa before actually launching his company as Kensington Tours. And that's the first destination that Kensington offered. So it is really dear to their heart because it's a destination that it's very well known in the at Kensington.
Absolutely. This is going to go hand in hand with our next two questions. We have two people asking about this, which is about cost. So, first, I'd like to address one thing before you start, which is that if you are going for the Great Migration, your cost is going to be high. It happens not often, once a year. So you're going to, it's very limited in the amount of time and the number of people who are able to go see it, how many park tickets they issue, et cetera. So if you want to see the Great Migration, you need to plan ahead and plan to spend a really good penny on that particular trip because there's just no other way to do it. But let's talk about cost and how it can vary when working with Kensington.
Yes, I'll talk about cost and that because there are some destinations that we usually have four different levels of cost. We have the Discovery, which is about $600 to $750. per person per day. And let me bring up one slide that I think it's going to be really helpful to explain this. Give me just 1 second, please.
Hmm. So also kind of while she's doing that, we'll talk about how there's varieties of products as well. So if there
Exactly.
are actually pre-built trips that are already completely done for you, they're not customizable at the price point, but they can be if you want. It would just change the price point. But certain times and certain trips are set costs. So you can really plan around that. If you want more private tours, customized touring, different schedules than that is already out there. Then you're talking about custom travel, which will come with different price ranges. And then you also have different kind of products like villas, yachts, great migration, experiential
Mhm.
travel, F1 travel, those kind of experiences. All of those will come at a significantly higher cost. So if you are looking for a truly, really five-star amazing luxury experience and cost is not an option for you, you can be accommodated. If you actually are like, this is how much I want to spend on this trip, then you can say that up front as well and work within that parameter. So that's a great thing that you can do is kind of dictate what is most important to you in that trip. Is it that this is how much I want to spend and I want to get the most out of my money? Perfect. Let's work and approach it from that direction.
Exactly. And if you always want to keep the cost down, we don't have, I mean, we could look into the Discovery, which is, I said, it's between 650 and $750. And that what it wouldn't tell some of our semi-private tours, not necessarily private tours just with yourself and somebody else, but it actually could be, for example, a cooking class with two other couples or two other or
Small
four
group experiences.
small group experiences. Another thing that could be we can customize is not necessarily a Fremont, a five-star hotel, but we can look at into a boutique centrally located accommodation for you as well. So everything could be customizable. That's the beauty of Kensington, and really working with your team is just it's just really easy to put things together and make sure that we are not sacrificing the Kensington experience and the level of service by any means.
It's true. Yeah. So if you know where you want to go, even if you don't, you can just reach out to us and
Mhm.
we're always at here at Create Your Cruise and Cruise Planners. We're happy to help you brainstorm ideas and things like that. But again, we can approach it from all different directions. So I have a lot of clients who are exclusively traveling with Kensington because they love the curated experience. The overall, every thought is kind of handled. It's like you literally get a book in the mail that tells you all about the destination. So you're really engaged the whole way through. And when you're done with the experience, it sells itself. So if you know what's important to you, we can really make that experience perfect for you where it's still going to have all of those important details like knowing this is going to be a problem for you. Let's anticipate it, work around it. Here's where we maybe suggest you spend a little bit more because the experience will be worth it, et cetera, things like that. So you'll have a lot of options. It's a very curated planning experience as well.
Exactly. And it's I always say that the magic happens from the initial conversation when we start learning about your desires, what you like to do. Are there any mobility constraints that we can definitely work around that you're not going to get to the destination and you see that it's going to be all cobblestones and you're going to be scheduled in 4 or 5 hours of tours. Rather, we can split that in the morning and in the afternoon. You don't have to go up and down stair buses or anything like that. It's really customized for you, for your needs, for your desires. That's the beauty of working with us because we can definitely draft that itinerary based on your desires. I think it's whether it's gastronomy, whether it's destinations that will offer landscape and arts and anything that you can possibly desire. We just worked on another trip to Japan for cooking classes. I mean, we also looked at yes, it's really cool. In Thailand. I mean, there's so many destinations. We just worked on another one that was really great. It was a trip or Galapagos combined with Machu Picchu and an Amazon river cruise.
It's amazing. That
I
is like
mean,
one of the most amazing destinations. Like I love
yes,
that. I
yes,
still talk
exactly.
about that trip.
So if you have mobility challenges and you cannot get into Machu Picchu, we can also do the Amazon River cruise, which are very accessible. So there are a lot of, I mean, there's so many ways to travel and to really I mean, just wander the world and your exact schedule as your wish to. So it's quite, I love it. I mean, I get so passionate about it,
I know. I
but
love it too.
I
And I have
just,
like I have some clients that I work with very hand on hand. They want to be involved. So also I think that's a lot of things that people perceive differently when they're planning their travel. Like some people are like, I'm hands on. I need to have every single piece. I have a spreadsheet. I need to like really know what's going on. I want to talk to all the experts. That is great. That's perfect. Bring you into the fold. We'll have conversations with the destination expert. I'm going to serve as your liaison. So I'm handling all of the day-to-days for you, keeping you on track on payments, on schedules, on what we need to plan, when we need to secure this, what deadlines you need to be aware of, what challenges you might face, whatever it is, that would be my role. I also have clients who are like, I want to go here and I don't want to think about anything else. So here it is, make it happen for me. And I do that as well. So it's literally like the most customizable way to plan travel. So it's for everyone.
thank you. Thank you so
So we
much.
have a couple of I think Japan maybe and Africa should be two destinations that we hit upon next. So at least we will miss you on those since they're, not yours. But thank you
Totally
so much again
fine.
for joining us. We really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank
Yeah.
you, Alyssa. Thank you again for your expertise. We love having you here today with us. Tawny, thank you so much. And thank you so much for the audience. We really appreciate it. And we look forward to working closely with you to take it to the next destination with Kensington. Thank you.
Thank you all. You have a great night, everyone. We'll talk soon.
You as well.
Take
Goodbye.
care.